Coming up on MythBusters.
It's Myths Revisited, where we take you on.
There's crashes. Whoa. Bangs. And wallop. In a Myths Revisited special. Can salami really work as a rocket fuel?
Stand back and come to get some rocket fuel out of the fridge.
Is it possible to record sound onto a painting?
Picasso!
Tori and Grant see if a hand braced on a windshield will stop it from shattering.
I'll miss you, buddy.
Then Adam and Jamie revisit the best way to drive a pickup truck.
Let's test his tailgate up, just like old times.
And finally, there's a battle of the blades. Can a sword slice through a machine gun? Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage and Jamie Heineman.
Aren't tracer rounds illegal?
Between them, over 30 years special effects experience.
That's what I'm talking about!
Joining them, Tori Belleci,
What could go wrong?
Carrie Byron,
We're going for total annihilation.
and Grant Imahara.
I'm pumping as fast as I can!
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
The more we do this show, the more, I think, really committed we are to trying to get at least some kind of scientific approach to what we're doing.
Yep.
But I gotta say, I get a lot of angry email from fans complaining that you screwed this up, or you messed that up, or you guys have no idea what you're doing.
Yep.
Are you gonna say anything but yep? Mm-hmm. All right, well, this is another Myths Revisited episode. We're gonna take another stab at some myths that viewers found incredibly controversial, and the first one is salami rocket.
Yep.
In Salami Rocket, Adam and Jamie wanted to find out if luncheon meat could get launched.
3, 2, 1. Hey! Look at that! 20 feet, man! What did I tell you?
But according to some fans, with this rocket, it's, Houston, we have a problem.
Well, I don't know what more the viewers want. We got the rocket off the ground.
Yes, but the viewers are saying that we did not get a bona fide ignition.
It flew.
Yeah, they claim that all we got was the release of nitrous oxide propelling that rocket. There was no actual ignition, just the gas alone and its pressure gave our rocket that launch.
I think now would be a good time for a graphic. Their original rocket was a 2-tank hybrid rocket. The bottom half contained the salami rocket fuel, and the top, the fuel oxidizer, liquid nitrous oxide, or NOx. The theory was that on ignition, the salami gently smoldered until the NOx was released with explosive results. But some fans think that the salami was never actually alight, so the thrust they got was thanks only to the release of the NOx.
So we have to retest it. This is just a total proof of concept, just to see if we can get ignition between the NOx and the salami, and to see if that ignition produces real thrust.
Huh.
To find out if their rocket was a NOx no-hoper or a salami sizzler, the MythBusters have dusted off their original plans.
Rocket fuel!
So, first things first, it's back to the butcher's board.
Remember, the bandsaw was invented for cutting meat.
Just like last time, Adam's starting by shaping the salamis so that they'll fit snugly into the rocket.
Disgusting.
And just like last time, Adam's suffering from innuendo overload.
Too many jokes.
With Adam showing the restraint of a saint, he heads on to tackle another viewer complaint, the graphite exhaust nozzle. Despite Adam's silky skills, there were some fans who thought his original nozzles were not strong enough.
So, I've made the new ones with a much thicker lip. Should provide a lot more material and provide a lot more strength.
Come launch time, these reinforced nozzles should do the business. But for this experiment, the term launch is not entirely accurate because they're going to do these tests locked down.
We're going to do the Salami rocket revisit bench tests right here outside the shop, but inside the bunker. Now, this bunker is specifically designed to be able to contain things like flame and explosions and projectiles that we don't want to expose ourselves to.
And to get some data without a launch into the sky, Jamie's built a special clamp that will hold the rocket in place.
That looks pretty nifty.
At each end of the clamp, he's putting force meters that should measure the amount of thrust the lockdown rocket gives off on ignition. That's the theory. And with countdown approaching, Jamie puts the finishing touches to the rocket fuel, an inner coating of gunpowder.
This is an invention of mine. This is called self-cooking meat.
So while there won't be a vertical launch, with salamis, rockets, and gunpowder, there'll still be some fireworks. Now it's time for things to get rough.
Good to go for run number 1, 15 miles per hour.
When the team tested the myth about driving on rough roads,
Paramedics are nowhere to be found.
they found that for a smoother ride, the faster you go, the better. But now, fans want to know something new.
Well, Grant, I understand you have an interesting side myth here.
Yep, and it has to do with rocks on the road. And if you have a vehicle approaching you, or if you're following one that might kick up a rock into your windshield, you put your hand up on it and apply pressure. And doing this will save your windshield if a rock hits it.
It's another car caper. Can bracing your hand against the windshield really prevent it from being shattered by roadside shrapnel?
I don't know. This really falls into the hogwash category to me. I can't imagine that the dampening of your hand is going to prevent the windshield from being broken. What's your plan?
Well, we were thinking we'd get a slingshot and a rock and a bunch of windshields.
I reckon you're going to have to do something more like that.
Okay.
To test this driver's dilemma, rather than using Jamie's hammer, Grant and Tori are actually going to fire rocks at windshields with that childhood favorite, the slingshot.
1, 2, 3. Did you guys see where that went?
But of course, they're not just going to release rocks at random. Instead, Tori's built a rig that should fire with pinpoint accuracy.
I think that's gonna work just fine.
But it's not just the aim that's important for this shootout.
Well, I'm setting up the chronograph so that we can get an idea how fast Tori's slingshot is throwing those rocks. Our target velocity is somewhere in the order of 70 miles per hour.
With the chronograph up and running and Tori's focused, everything's set for a speed test.
I'm gonna stand behind you.
Okay. Why, Grant?
Remember, they're looking to hit 70 miles an hour.
3, 2, 1.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, 67 feet per second, 45.7 miles per hour.
45 miles an hour. So we need another at least 25 miles
Right.
faster. Okay.
To crank up the speed, Tori yanks the elastic 8 inches further back.
Whoa! You almost hit the chrono,
It went right
man.
through the box.
Jeez. Perfect. 76 miles per hour.
Okay.
112 feet per second, or 76 miles an hour, is right in the butter zone for this myth. But Tori ain't done testing yet.
3, 2, 1. 103. Perfect. So that's 3 shots. The first one was at 103 feet per second. The second one was at 109 feet per second. And then this third shot was at, again, 103 feet per second. So it's pretty consistent. I'm happy.
With Tori all smiles, now they just need a car. Check. A handful of stones. Check. And a blanket to catch any ricochets. Check. And with the list checked off, they're finally ready to fire at the windshield, both with and without Grant bracing it with his hand.
All right, Grant, I'm ready to start breaking windows with rocks, but before I stick you in that car to shoot it, I want to make sure we can actually break a windshield with the rock.
Okay. Don't let that thing go.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Perfect shot. That's a pretty good hit. Okay. No shattered windshield.
At 70 miles an hour, there's no broken glass, even without the hand. They try again, but this windshield is a tough nut to crack. So next, they decide to go for broke.
Well, since Jamie passed this kidney stone, we figured it'd be suiting to shoot it through the windshield. This is a 150-gram stone. We're gonna see what kind of damage it does.
Surely this monster will get the result they're after.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
But no, there's a spiderweb crack, but no full-on shatter, which means it's back to the drawing board.
You can protect that schoolgirl complexion with Duplate safety glass.
There are a whole host of ways to strengthen a car's windows. But is it true that your hand, braced up on the glass, can make it unbreakable? Well, Tori and Grant are on the case, but so far they're struggling to even shatter a windshield in the first place.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Whoa!
And after a quick research break, Grant discovers why.
I think we've been having such difficulty with this windshield myth because we've been using laminated windshields. And here in America, it's been common practice to use those since the 1920s. Well, what I think is that this myth comes from other countries where they've been using tempered glass windshields up until 1994.
Tempered glass should be much easier to break. So to kickstart this myth, they're removing the laminated windshield.
This job just keeps getting better and better.
The MythBuster way. After Tori is flipped out on the car, Grant flips her around. It turns out on this model, the rear window is tempered and not laminated. And they're also going to make another change.
Man, if I had a nickel for every window I shot out with a BB gun, I wouldn't be working.
They're abandoning the slingshot, and instead they're going to use a BB gun, which should be easier to aim, easier to reload, and that's not all.
The good thing about the BB gun, the BBs are all uniform. They're exactly the same, so that takes out any variability that we might have with the stone.
That's the theory. But will the BB be powerful enough to shatter the shield?
What's your prediction?
He's gonna take a BB in the nuts.
Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Looks like that breaks the
Well.
windshield.
At last, they get the break they're after. So now they can put this myth to the test. With a replacement window in place,
Here we go.
Tori's going to fire an identical BB, and Grant will brace his hand against the glass. Will the windshield still shatter?
I'll miss you, buddy.
I'm gonna catch it in my teeth.
All right, so this is BB shot onto tempered glass, Grant bracing the windshield. In 3, 2, 1.
Oh, that went.
You holding the windshield didn't seem to help much.
No, not at all.
The windshield was definitely not protected by the hand, but the team isn't quite ready to call it myth busted yet.
What we didn't do in the previous test is dial in at what point the windshield will shatter. So what we're gonna do, I have a BB gun, and I'm gonna take a shot, pump it up, take a shot, pump it up twice, take a shot, and I'm gonna keep pumping it up, taking a shot until we find at the exact point it'll take to crack this windshield. Here we go, 3, 2, 1.
Tori's worried that in the last test, the BB was fired so fast that it was always going to shatter the windshield.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So for the next test, he's calibrating the BB so that it fires at a speed which only just smashes the unbraced glass.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Okay. 6 pumps at this angle seems to be the winning number.
With the BB dialed in, it's time to talk to the hand.
So now we're going to do another test with me inside of the car holding the glass to see if this is going to prevent it from breaking or if it's just going to break anyway.
It's the moment of truth. Grant assumes the position and Tori pumps to 6. If the new windshield doesn't bust now, the myth is confirmed.
3, 2, 1. Well, doesn't look like putting your hand up against the windshield really does much, does it?
Tori's got it right on. Grant gave the windshield a hand, but it was still smashed to smithereens.
My feeling is it doesn't matter whether or not you put your hand up against the windshield, it's gonna break.
Okay, fair enough.
You're so over this one, huh?
You try getting BBs and rocks shot at you about a dozen times and see how you feel.
So that's it. Grant's patience is shattered, and this myth is busted.
Cotto salami, mortadella, rocket fuel, who needs a rocket fuel?
In the Salami Rocket revisit, the boys are all set to see if baloney can go ballistic, because fans weren't convinced.
We're having a revisit of this because there was a concern that the liftoff that we got in a previous experiment might have been just the nitrous oxide coming out of the tank. And obviously if there was enough of it, if it was energetic enough of it, we might have gotten some kind of burst from that, but not actually achieved ignition.
To find an answer once and for all, the MythBusters have made some new meat missiles. But how do they work again?
It's a bench stand test for Salami Rocket. This right here is the Salami Rocket. Nitrous oxide goes in here. This is an electrically actuated valve that releases it into the ignition chamber where we put the salami and a nozzle. This rocket will be pushing this way, and we've got a force meter right here to test how much force it is pushing this way. We also have an analog force meter right here, a plate of steel that the rocket exhaust will push against and actually give us a different relative measurement of exactly how much force the rockets are putting out.
The MythBusters are going to run a bunch of tests and compare the thrust levels recorded on the force gauges.
All right, we're going in.
And for test 1, they're going to address the fans' main complaint by measuring the force put out by the NOx alone. No salami, no ignition, just escaping gas.
Okay, this is NO2 only.
Yeah.
In 3, 2, 1.
That sounds like a hell of a thump. Oh.
Well, let's see what the force gauge said.
I believe that would be a pretty good first. Okay, the force gauge says 78 pounds of force.
78 pounds of thrust sounds a lot, and it sure looks violent. But would this alone have been enough to propel their original Salami rocket to the sky? Adam and Jamie do the math, calibrating the force and weight, and wait for it.
Okay, I will give it to the viewers. They may actually be right, and the evidence supports it here, that just the pure release of nitrous oxide from that top tank would be enough to get the rocket off the rocket stand.
So it's looking like viewers 1, MythBusters 0. And if the escaping NOx was enough to launch the original rocket, then the MythBusters need to head back to square one. Can Salami add anything to the reaction?
Stand back, I've come to get some rocket fuel out of the fridge.
For test 2, they're loading the rocket up to the max. Salami is the fuel and NOx is the oxidizer. And they're also adding an igniter to make sure that the Salami, with its black powder filling, is smoldering when the NOx is released.
We're igniting them with little model rocket engines like this, and the new MythBusters launch button.
The rocket's ready, but the question is, will this setup produce any more thrust on the force gauge?
In 3, 2, 1, go. Now that sounds more like it should.
It's the moment of truth. Mythbuster pride is on the line.
I get 19.6.
Pounds?
Yeah.
Remember, on test 1, with just the escaping NOx powering it, the rocket generated 78 pounds of force, which means something's gone wrong.
Pull this out. I just gotta look right now. Nothing. Salami didn't ignite.
Uh-oh, it's looking like it's viewers 2, Mythbusters 0. The salami didn't burn, so it's not added any more thrust, which is leaving Adam and Jamie rather embarrassed.
So what's next?
It's a return to the pottery record myth.
So we've proven that ancient pottery cannot yield ancient conversation. It's just not possible.
But our fans think that there's something else that can. Paint.
Paint?
Yeah, paint. The idea is that your voice will vibrate the bristles of the brush while you're painting on a canvas, and they'll get recorded in that paint.
Well, it sounds kind of crazy, but I think you should canvas the idea.
It was a myth that sounded crazy.
So recording an audio signal in a piece of pottery.
Archaeology researchers in Europe reckon that potters in ancient Rome accidentally recorded sound onto their pots. Carrie, Tori, and Grant had a scream testing this one. Tori!
That's a good one.
But found that this myth was nothing to shout about. It was impossible to record any noise onto the clay. But now they're moving on to a whole new medium.
There's one part of this myth that was just too intriguing not to investigate. In the late 60s, the same researchers that were doing tests on the pottery found that they could record to a canvas with paint and a paintbrush and take a recording off of that. So I came down to the local art store Arch so I could get some supplies.
Carrie's given the boys the brush off to find out whether sound can really be recorded onto paint. It's a strange concept, but the theory is the same as in the original pottery record myth. The idea then was that an ancient potter was busily working away when there was a noise close by. The force of the sound waves made an imprint like record grooves in the fresh clay. Swap the potter for a painter and the clay for wet paint, and hey presto, you've got yourself a new myth. Back at the sound studio, Carrie's inner artist is all set to be released.
Okay, so what's the idea with this one?
But the brush strokes are going to be sort of like the grooves in a record. I extended it sort of would be if you could put a stylus down the Mona Lisa, you could hear what Leonardo was saying.
On a particular brush stroke?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that would be the real Da Vinci Code. But enough hankering about. Let's get myth busting. And to start, Carrie is going to yell at a freshly painted canvas.
According to that test, it's like wherever the mouth was, the vibration was the strongest, obviously. So
Yeah, but it can't be just like, no. It has to be like a word or something.
So should I be doing this with some volume?
I would say so.
It's all very surreal.
Picasso! Picasso!
Remember, the idea is the sound vibrations from Carrie's voice will travel down the brush and imprint directly onto the paint.
Scream it louder, he might hear.
Picasso!
Okay, I think you're...
Giving myself a headache?
Yeah,
Us
and
too.
us too.
While that paint dries, there's another test to try, which should be a little easier on the ears.
What's this experiment?
This is, we're going to be playing music as you're painting, and apparently the music, the vibration from the music, should transfer right onto your paint.
Okay.
To direct as much sound as possible towards the painting,
Hit it.
they place a speaker directly behind the canvas. And the team gets down, gets funky, and feels the creative vibe.
When I was painting, I could actually feel the vibrations from the music. And I think there might actually be a chance here the vibrating canvas came along my brush and pushed an audio track into there.
With a third of the canvas left, the team tries the screaming once more.
Jackson Pollock!
But will it be a load of Pollock?
So now, what, we just let it dry and then come
Yeah.
back later and try to play this painting?
Yeah?
Yeah, because nobody's gonna let us try to play the Mona Lisa. We're actually taking our painting into the blast chamber, not because we want to blow it up for a change, but because we want to get rid of all outside influences, any sort of ambient noise that might interfere with the recording of the audio tracks that we get off of our painting.
With the painting dried up and isolated in the bunker, the team is all ears. To see if they captured any sound, they're going to drag a stylus directly over the top of Carrie's brushstrokes.
Maybe try going a little faster.
They listen, but the only sound they can detect is the stylus as it drags over the bumps in the canvas.
I think what we're hearing is the texture of the board.
The canvas.
This revisit is sounding busted. There's nothing in the paint, no music, and certainly no Picasso. There's not even anything unexplained.
Voices from beyond?
No.
No one?
But at least M5 has a magnificent new piece of abstract art.
So, recording sound with paint, how'd you go?
Like pottery, it's busted.
Absolutely. There's just no way you can record sound onto something unless that's what it's designed for. It's not possible to do it by accident.
But isn't it a great story? I mean, the idea that out there somewhere, embedded in a painting, is an artist conversation.
But it's more like he's put his feelings in the painting. Like this. It's busted. Nice work. Now, let's auction this for charity.
So, tailgate up versus tailgate down. Are you serious? Are we revisiting that? I thought we nailed that.
Yeah, we did nail it. I think we nailed it. You think we nailed it. And I believe the general consensus is that we nailed it. But when it comes to fuel efficiency, the fans just want more. They want more tests.
Huh.
The tailgate up versus down dilemma first spawned a driving marathon.
Yeah, it's definitely out. I'm keying it off, over.
Then a water vortex test.
Okay.
Both of which proved that tailgate up is a more fuel-efficient way to drive.
And it's right about here. They're hitting this critical point where I can see them kind of falling off and joining in with their friends.
But viewers want more.
So the basic gist of it is that the fans feel like there are several tests we did not try that can potentially improve your mileage on your pickup truck.
Yeah, my inbox is full of them, like driving your pickup with that hard roof cover on it.
Yeah, that's one of them. There's also, I've been suggested, the mesh in place of your tailgate is supposed to work.
And some of them are suggesting that you even take your tailgate entirely off.
Okay, so that's 3 tests. That's enough for us to work with. I think we should do it.
Sounds like a plan. The boys are going to test the different tailgate setups at 25 and 55 miles an hour to find out once and for all the most fuel-efficient way of driving a pickup. Or more precisely, Jamie's pickup. But before driving for science, Adam's attaching a fuel gauge so they know precisely how much gas they're using.
The way this works is it's got a flow meter, an electronic flow meter that we've hooked directly into the fuel line of the car. So it knows, it's not estimating, it's not calculating or extrapolating, it's reading precisely how much fuel is moving into the engine of the car under each condition we're going to test it under.
It's a foolproof system, and what's more, it has been pre-tested.
For anyone out there who wants to email me telling me that we screwed up this test, we have already calibrated this thing to this car. So it's going to be perfect.
With the perfect gauge in place, it's time to hit the road.
So for each of these, I think this stretch that you're driving on is perfect. It's like 5 miles of straight, flat road. We can get all of our speed readings and fuel efficiency readings on here, just driving back and forth, back and forth.
And they're going to start by trying to confirm their original results with the tailgate down.
Okay, I'm working my way up to 55. I should be pretty stable right now.
5.3, 5.2.
I'm real stable.
Stable's not moving. 5.2, 5.2, 5.2 gallons per hour at 55.
From 55, Jamie slams on the brakes and repeats the circuit at 25 miles an hour.
Okay, should be stable now.
It's 1.2.
Okay.
1.2 gallons per hour at 25.
Okay.
A quick pit stop later, and it's all change with the tailgate.
This test is tailgate up, just like old times, except we don't have to drive for 600 miles.
They run the circuit once more at 55.
Stable reading of 5 gallons per hour at 55.
Then again at 25 miles an hour.
Well, that seems to confirm our previous results that having the tailgate up is more fuel efficient than having the tailgate down.
Well, that's encouraging. So, what's next?
Now that their original results are upheld, the new tests can begin. And first up, it's on with the pickup cover.
Putting a hard cover on your pickup truck is supposed to be the best thing you could do to make it aerodynamic, and that's supposed to lead to the best fuel efficiency. A nearly endless number of fans wrote Jamie and I to explain this very point, so that's why we're doing it.
Once the cover's in place, they drive around in circles some more.
1.2 gallons per hour at 25. Let's go up to 55.
Okay, and steadying off, not moving.
Okay, I get a reading of 5 gallons per hour at 55.
The stats are in, so they head back to Mission Control, where it's off with the roof as the cover is uncovered.
And there you have it. One nice fallout shelter. Oh, honey, there's a tornado coming. Hold on, sweetie. Let's go down.
While Adam seeks shelter, what's next?
Next is actually a truck tailgate mesh. Requires removing this and putting the mesh on.
Well, this thing weighs a bit. I guess that'd save mileage if it's, not on the truck, right?
Well, the fans emailed us and said if we were testing tailgate up and down, we should test this because this is supposed to be the least aerodynamic. It's supposed to use the most fuel. And on the box, it actually says it improves the gas mileage. So we're going to investigate that.
There's a mishmash of information about the mesh. The manufacturer claims it improves mileage, but the fans disagree. Luckily, the MythBusters are going to put an end to this controversy.
So this is the test for the mesh installed with the tailgate removed.
And 2 laps later, the info's in. And that leaves just one final configuration.
Okay, we're good to go.
Well, let's go.
The last test is no tailgate and no mesh. And after another bout of driving, they have all the data they could ever need.
So where are we now?
Well, now I'm tired of driving, and I think we should go back to the shop and crunch all these numbers, compare them to each other, and see what kind of data we actually achieved today.
Okay. So Adam, we're back at base, and you're looking a little confused with that calculator.
I'm not confused. Hold on. All right, the results are in. The most fuel efficient thing you can do to drive your pickup truck is mesh.
Really?
Yeah, actually was an improvement of almost 5%, which exceeds most of the other things we tried.
Wow. What about the other combinations?
Well, no tailgate, tailgate up, and hardcover were all about the same, and tailgate down was again the worst.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I really, really hope, and I'm asking you, sitting at your computer, not to email me about this. I don't want to do any more fuel efficiency myths.
Yeah, if you don't believe us, go right ahead and drive the way you want.
Now, Carrie, Grant, and Tori are going to slice another myth wide open.
So, sword cuts a sword. Did you guys screw up or what?
No, we actually got it right this time.
Cut to flashback.
In the mega movie special, the team tried to chop a sword with another sword.
We go in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah!
Whoa.
Nice!
Okay.
But no matter what combination of blades they used, they could never get a clean cut.
At first, I was so impressed. I thought we might have had a slice, but comes down to it, we had another snap.
But the fans now want them to shoot down another sword-chopping myth.
So, if you guys didn't screw up the last one, what's the point of this one?
Well, the viewers actually agree that we did a good job. You cannot cut a sword with another sword. But they have something else for us.
So we actually got a letter from a fan that said during World War II, Japanese soldiers were cutting through American soldiers' hot machine gun barrels with their swords.
I'll be darned.
All right, well, it sounds like we need to dust off the cutting rig, and I'll go get a machine gun.
Sounds like you got your work cut out for you, don't you?
Machine guns are the foundation of today's military units. But could this mandate of modern warfare really be cut down by the humble sword? To carve out an answer, Grant is first making some modifications to the original sword-swinging robot.
Before, this was just able to match what a human could do, but for this one, we're actually going to amp it up and make it something superhuman.
Because shearing through a machine gun is a tough task, Grant's maximizing the robot's cutting power. With a new pressure cylinder, it'll be packing twice the punch, which makes it so dangerous that for a preliminary test, the team must retreat to the bunker.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
All right.
That's only at 1/3 of the maximum pressure. 1/4 of the maximum pressure.
With the rig swinging like Babe Ruth, it's time to bring in the World War II weaponry.
What we've got here is a Browning .30 caliber machine gun, and it's got the outside guard, but more importantly, the barrel. And as you can see, it's pretty thick.
With such a thick barrel, it's looking like the sword will have its work cut out. But then Grant offers this myth a lifeline.
Well, supposedly, the reason that they were able to cut through the barrel is because as these guns were being fired, they would heat up, almost to the point of being red or even white hot.
Now let's get this straight. When a bullet is fired, the gases expelled can reach temperatures of 5,000 degrees. So it's no surprise that with a rapid-fire weapon, the barrel can become red hot, making a slice and dice much more likely. Of course, it's too dangerous to actually shoot the Browning to heat it up. So instead, they're having a barbecue.
The reason why we're starting a fire is we need to get these machine gun barrels at an even temperature. Run it over to the sword machine and try to cut it in half.
But with Tori in charge of the fire, this method could be just as dangerous as the shooting.
Always remember, use plenty of lighter fluid.
Who put you in charge of the fire?
I don't know, but I'm glad they did.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. And this little shindig is no exception. With a little help from the shop fan and a few more coals, he's hoping to reach 600 degrees.
Does this all seem incredibly dangerous?
It seems very dangerous.
All right. Just as long as everyone's aware of that.
With everyone aware of the danger, Tori adds the gun barrel to the flames, which is making Carrie even more nervous.
Worst case scenario would be that as the samurai sword comes whipping around, hits the gun barrel, one or the other or both shatter into a million pieces, and they go into every part of the shop. Shop catches on fire, burns down. I don't have a job.
Carrie may yet be fired, but it's too late to back out because
it's done.
Let's heat the gun barrel up to about 600 degrees. We're gonna bring it inside. We've got our samurai sword swinging rig all ready to try to give it a cut and see if this revisit has any truth to it.
3, 2, 1.
Sound like something happened.
it was a clean strike. But what's the result?
Wow.
That is a slice.
Yeah, it's definitely a cut.
That's a lot better than I would have thought, given the thickness of this material.
But it didn't cut through it.
It didn't cut it in half, but that's a gash.
The gun may be gashed, but in a complete reverse of the myth, it's the blade that's been broken in half. So after test 1, it's looking like this myth may be dead in the water. But the team isn't going to give up without a fight.
So the next step is we're going to stick this back in the fire, try to get it up to a maximum temperature, and then we're going to go and try to cut it in half again.
Last time, they got the barrel to 600 degrees.
Oh, I bet that's over 1,000.
But this time, they're cranking the heat up to the max.
Oh, it's well over 1,000.
14.
1,500.
16. 1,600 degrees. Okay, it looks like it's holding there.
And
With the temperature at 1600, the barrel starts to resemble something out of a sci-fi movie.
oh my God, it looks like a lightsaber.
So cool. All right, let's get this thing cut.
Okay.
We are hot. No pun intended.
Get in here.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, well,
Here.
the barrel is still intact. He's got a deep slice.
It's good.
Yeah, it's deeper, but
It's still not cutting it in half, huh?
okay, I think just straight heat is not doing it because it's still red, and if it couldn't cut it at this point when it's soft and malleable and 1600 degrees.
It wouldn't cut it ever.
With the gun still standing strong, this myth is surely looking busted. The MythBusters have been testing hot barrel against chiseled blade to see whether a sword can really cut through a machine gun.
3.
But so far, it's gun 2, sword 0.
Sound like something happened.
But all is not lost because Grant's just had a moment of Imahara ingenuity.
One possibility for another way this might have happened is to heat up the barrel, just like you're shooting it, and then quench it rapidly. And if you do this over a succession of times, it will make the metal harder and, in some cases, more brittle, which would make it easier for someone to cut it or break it somehow.
To put Grant's theory to the test, Tori first reheats the barrel before plunging it into some cold water.
There she blows.
And once chilled, the barrel jumps back from the freezing pan into the fire.
Back into the fire.
After 5 more repetitions, the barrel's all set for test 3, for which Carrie has lined up one more change.
I've finally convinced Grant and Tori that we are going to have to give this our best shot, so we've gone through our inventory and pulled out the strongest, best sword we have. I think it's gonna give us our best shot.
It's a souped-up sword versus a bruised-up barrel.
All right, brittle barrel, strong sword in 3, 2, 1.
I heard a drop of metal.
Kicking, kicking, kicking. Yeah! Look at right there.
Wow.
At last, they've hit pay dirt. The barrel has broken into 4 pieces. But according to Grant, it's not myth confirmed. And there's 3 reasons why.
The first reason is that this is not a slice. The myth is about slicing through a barrel. This is hitting it and the barrel shattered. The second reason is under normal operation, this machine gun would have an outside guard, which we weren't using for our tests. And the third reason is that I've really amped up this rig. It is superhuman. So that amount of force could not be delivered by even an expert swordsman.
So, on the Browning machine gun, it's myth busted. But Carrie wants to try one more thing.
I think we should actually move on, though. I think we should go on to something. Is there some sort of machine gun or something from the same era that would have a smaller barrel or thinner walls or something?
Well, technically, it wouldn't be a machine gun. It would be a submachine gun, but there are smaller barrels like a Tommy gun, which we have.
Okay, we should try that.
Yeah, let's ruin another gun.
All right.
It's the last chance for this myth. Armed with a thin-walled Tommy gun, it's back to the barbecue.
Ain't gonna lie, that's hot.
All right, I'm watching it go up. 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, 1,500, 16, 17, 1740, 17, topping at 1750.
All right, cool.
Let's do it.
With the temperature red hot, can this shooter get slashed by the super strong sword?
Okay, here we're going with a modern alloy blade, Tommy gun barrel in 3, 2, 1. Oh, no way!
It bent it.
No freaking way.
Huh.
The barrel's more crooked than a politician, but even at almost 2,000 degrees, there's still no cut.
You know, my feeling is it is that hot. It's hot enough to bend it by hitting it, and it's still not cutting it. I don't think you'll ever be able to cut it no matter how hot the barrel gets.
No, I agree. I mean, Here, you see that deflection. It should have been able to. If it was going to, this is the softest state you're gonna find it in.
It bent the barrel.
And let's not forget that those are the thinnest walls on the smallest barrel using a modern sword with modern alloys.
What they're trying to say is that it's myth completely and utterly busted. So let's cue the wrap-up.
So, what were the results you guys came up with?
Totally busted. You can't cut a World War II era machine gun barrel with a sword. They're just too thick.
But we do think we found a reasonable explanation for why people thought maybe that you could cut them in half, and that is under certain conditions. The heating of the machine gun barrel through firing can make it kind of brittle, and it can shatter on impact with a sword, but it doesn't slice.
So it's totally busted. Nice work. Well done.
In 3, 2, 1.
The salami rocket revisit is not going well. So far, it's looking like the fans are right. Salami may be tasty, but rocket fuel it ain't.
Nothing. Salami didn't ignite.
But Jamie, bright spark that he is, has had a bright idea.
Our ignition system worked perfectly this last run. However, we didn't get the reaction with the fuel grain and the NOS, and that means everything was burning, but it wasn't carried through into the fuel. What we figure that we need to do to make that happen is actually choke down the nozzle considerably more, because increasing the pressure in that engine is part of the formula of how rocket engines work.
And on the off chance you're not a rocket scientist, all that means is that on the next test, they're going to use an exhaust nozzle with a smaller hole.
Nitrous oxide with a 5/16" nozzle. In 3, 2, 1.
That's more like it.
More like it indeed. The reinforced nozzle blew out, but there's no doubt they got the ignition they wanted.
There's salami everywhere. Dude, it blew out the nozzle.
The nozzle gave way, so there's floor-to-ceiling salami shrapnel. But it did hang in long enough for the rocket to thrust its way into the force meter.
Oh, yeah.
That's a hell of a lot of pressure. 218 pounds of thrust. That's a lot.
218 pounds of thrust. That's 3 times the force of the NOx alone, proving that, yes, salami can act as rocket fuel. But with another tweak to the nozzle size, the boys think they can go better still.
This is NOS hybrid salami rocket with a 3/8 nozzle. In 3, 2, 1, go!
I think we got more thrust.
I'll bet we got more.
Let's go see what it reads.
880 pounds of thrust.
It's a heck of a lot of force for such a little salami. But is it enough to have launched a rocket?
This thing would have taken off like nobody's business if we had had this launched. You know, it would have exploded midair at some point and stopped going, but with 500 pounds worth of I'm going up, something that weighs, you know, under 20 pounds is going up.
So, in other words, the salami rocket rocks. Its mission accomplished.
Well, I am really pleased with those results. I mean, the thrust we got from the NOx salami reaction and ignition vastly exceeded the thrust we got from just the release of the NOx alone.
Yeah, in fact, the results were so good that we maxed out the force gauge and even ruined it.
I'm also pleased to note that I did not screw up the nozzle design, that the reaction is so energetic it's more like an explosion than anything else, and it blew up even our new, much stronger nozzles. I mean, this stuff is confirmed. It's just not an ideal rocket fuel. Maybe someday when science unlocks the secret, we'll be traveling to Mars on pure mortadella. But not now.
On this episode of MythBusters, it's an evolution revolution. As the team takes 5 fan favorites and focuses on a fascinating new facet for each. First, Adam and Jamie give Water Heater Rocket a whole new story. Then they think outside the box with Hollywood car classic Hang In There. Meanwhile, Carrie, Grant, and Tori pick a cool coda to liquid nitrogen.
Cops are on their way.
Then they take a tangent with Bend a Bullet, turning it into the myth of the corner shot.
Mama like.
And finally, they focus on the missing link of Snowplow Split with some rocket-powered evolution.
I've ever seen.
Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage.
I'm ready to go, man.
And Jamie Heineman.
Bye-bye.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience.
Wow.
Joining them, Carrie Byron, Grant Imahara, and Tori Belleci.
Let's go.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
Myth evolution. What are we testing? Darwin?
Nah, Darwin doesn't need our help. This episode is called Myth Evolution because it has to do with the fact that every time we air a new episode of MythBusters, hundreds, thousands of fans write to us to comment on that episode.
Yeah, a lot of them just want to tell us what we got wrong.
Some of them want to say things we screwed up, others want to suggest other tests we missed, and some of them just want us to go down different tangents of stories we've already done because they have other ideas about things we could explore.
Okay, well, what's on the roster?
Well, we do have an evolution of the hanging on the roof of a car story. But first up is Water Heater Rocket.
In one of the all-time most memorable myth-busting moments, Adam and Jamie confirmed that in a worst-case scenario, a water heater could blast through your roof like a rocket.
Did you know what was lurking in your basement?
But fan-side message board murmurings have moved this myth to the next level. Literally. Not only have you demanded a 2-story extension to the story, you also want to know exactly how high a water heater can fly.
So how are we evolving Water Heater Rocket?
Well, last time we successfully demonstrated that a water heater under the worst case scenario can actually behave just like a rocket and shoot up through the roof of a 1-story house. And a lot of fans complained about that. They said they lived in 2-story houses, and that simple fact might have changed our results.
Okay, well, let's build a 2-story house and do it to California code, see what happens.
Now, hold on. Before we do that, I think we actually have some important questions to answer in terms of the energy involved, the speed the hot water heater left the ground at, and the total height that it went to.
As I recall, we got up to about 500 feet on that last one.
Yeah, it turns out there's some dispute about that. And because it's a burning question of the fans, I think we should answer it by setting a hot water heater out with nothing for it to go through, nothing in its way, and accurately see how high it goes.
I love it. Let's go.
So it's Water Heater Rocket Part 2 in 2 parts. Can the rocket make it through 2 stories?
This place is great.
Works for me.
But before that, the boys need that controversial altitude answer, which has brought them to an all-new detonation destination.
I'm standing smack dab in the middle of 240 square miles of methane-producing landfill. Actually, Waste Management's Altamont landfill, to be exact. And if you throw some trash out in San Francisco, this is where it ends up.
It's the perfect place to launch this stripped-back household heater and confirm once and for all how far and fast it goes.
This steel can right here is actually the pressure vessel at the heart of your average household hot water heater. We are going to pressurize it until it explodes in hopes that watching it explode like this will illuminate some of its performance characteristics.
And the recipe for that all-important explosion is the same as last time. Seal off all of the safety release valves, give it a hot rod paint job.
That ought to do it. I'm not sure what it is, but it looks kind of dangerous somehow.
Add water, turn on the power, add some blankets to hurry the heating, and sit back and wait.
What's the butter zone for the explosion again?
About 350 psi.
All right.
This test is all about recording the height and the speed that the water heater achieves when it goes off. We've got a video camera aimed at the whole scene, and we should be able to estimate how high the thing is going if we can see it. Okay, we're at 150 psi.
Halfway there.
Everybody into your safety positions. We're in the red zone.
I'm getting a prediction. Hold on, it's coming in. It's coming in. All right, I predict that we are slowly going to watch pressure build up on a computer.
200 psi.
Oh, we're getting close. While we stare at a steel can that does nothing for maybe 40 minutes.
Okay, folks, we're up to 300 psi. Hold on to your hats.
And then the steel can is going to disappear in a puff of smoke.
315 psi.
And Jamie Heineman is going to make this sound. That's my prediction.
It takes so long to come down.
Where is it?
Here it comes. I never get tired of that.
No, it's the coming down that's the fun part.
I know.
Let's go check it out.
All right, let's do it.
This is what I love about hot water heaters. I'm going to start referring to them as Old Faithful. A lot of times when we're trying to get stuff to fail, it's like a 1 in a million shot. It's like a 1-to-1 shot with these hot water heaters. Pop!
Consistent, calibrated carnage means Adam's in Mythbuster heaven. But what about the all-important flight data?
What have we got?
Oh, okay. First of all, that is a fracking cool shot. Second of all, I'm calculating by measuring the height of the hot water heater as it leaves frame in the high-speed shot that it's leaving frame at about 350 miles an hour, which is pretty spot on to the speed I calculated the first time we did this. It hung in the air for 12 seconds. If I calculate the 12 seconds with the air resistance plus the speed it's leaving the ground, I come up with a total height reached of about 560 feet, which is also close enough to our estimate last time to tell me that we were right.
Well, that's without obstructions.
That's correct.
Well, let's put some obstructions in.
Absolutely.
All right, so what do we got?
Remember curving a bullet?
Totally.
Totally busted.
For sure, but there was another scene in the same movie where a bullet needs to get around an obstacle, and the fans want us to check it out.
Well, we missed one? Which one?
Well, Angelina Jolie's character's in a shootout, and she pulls out this amazing gun that literally shoots 90 degrees around a corner.
So the fans want to find out if that even exists.
Yep.
All right, well, while you do that, why don't Tori and I do 2 other Hollywood techniques?
Yeah, action hero corner shots that you've seen in every action movie ever made. We'll see if they actually work. Cool.
Our trio of gun-toting gunslingers have already busted the bullet-bending antics as illustrated in the movie Wanted.
There's no deviation whatsoever.
But fantasy physics isn't the only method used in that film of shooting around an obstacle. There was also some fancy hardware. And to find out if this corner shot is fact or fiction, Carrie and an overly excited Grant and Tori have come to Alameda County Sheriff Department's live firehouse.
Gotcha! Now this place is where they teach real-life tactical situations for law enforcement.
On your knees, on your knees!
We're gonna try some of our techniques here. Tori's got an interesting one, Grant has an interesting one. I think I got the best one.
He's arrested! Cuff him!
Got you!
It's like a playground, a very dangerous playground.
But to make it more playground and less dangerous, Sergeant Rob McElroy has brought along some specially modified guns and ammo.
What we've got is a special paint marking cartridge that we convert an actual firearm that it will only accept this round. And what it has is a small plastic capsule with a paint or dye inside of it that'll allow you to see where it hits, and it will function the firearm.
That's great! Can we shoot each other with it?
Definitely. That's what we use it for.
Yeah!
Woo! No.
No? All right. I guess we'll just stick to the targets.
Probably a good idea.
And first up, contract killer Carrie is going to show us if the corner shot is the real deal.
Right tool for the job.
And it's so far so good, because the movie's machinery really does exist. Pop a handgun in the contraption, and hey presto, you're good to go.
Mama like.
Yeah. What Mama got?
This is a corner shot. It's the real-life version of what Angelina Jolie used in the movie. She pulled out this little compact, cute weapon that shot around a corner. This is what you'd really use.
And you can bend it around corners to take the shot.
Yeah, it's got this little screen right here so you can see what you're shooting at with the crosshairs, and bam!
I love it.
All right, show us what you got.
Stand back. I think the boys were thoroughly impressed with my surprise piece of technology here. I mean, how amazing is it to be able to shoot around a corner without actually putting yourself in harm's way? We may not have all that slow motion and wind machines, but we can still curve our bullets around a corner with the corner shot.
So, take note, fans. That's score one for the movies. The corner shot is clearly the real deal. But the team ain't done yet. The guys want to try two other corner shot techniques any action movie fan will be familiar with. The question is, will they work in real life?
All right, who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Be careful.
How do I get out of here?
Other door.
We sure we want to give him that gun? Don't hurt yourself.
Now, my technique is to put only my arm around the corner, thus keeping my body out of the line of fire. Rob, clear to load? Clear to load. Got a specially modified pistol that shoots these gel markers so that we can see how well I do. You guys ready?
Yeah. Where'd it hit?
It didn't hit the target. You missed your target. The target's still alive.
Okay, so still intact, didn't hit the target at all. Blind firing around the corner is pretty much as you would expect. It's random. So, you know, if you can't see the target, how are you gonna hit it?
The clue was in the title. The one-shot blind corner kill from the movies is clearly unrealistic.
Now, this next technique is definitely not taught by the Alameda County Sheriff's Department, but it is one that you see in tons of Hollywood movies. And that is flying into a room, surprising your target, and shooting your target as you're flying through the air. I think that'll work. Now, I'm gonna lay down some mattresses so that way I don't get hurt. I just love it here so much, I think I'm gonna move in. Then I'll be able to find out, is this a reasonable option of taking out a target around the corner?
All right, so there's action hero technique. Whenever you're ready.
All right, here we go. Do you guys realize I've been practicing this technique since I was 8 years old?
It looks like you hit it.
Yeah, got him. That is a kill.
So that's one action movie move that does seem to work in real life. Not that you'll be seeing it in the Alameda County Sheriff's training manual anytime soon.
Okay, so where does that leave us?
Well, the hardware was not a figment of Hollywood's imagination. The corner shot is reality.
Yeah, and I hit my target. I mean, diving through a door with guns blazing seems to work.
In a movie context, but without a mattress?
And nobody shooting back at you. I mean, the chances of you getting away scot-free without any injury, pretty slim.
Man, you guys are just jealous. All right, fine, plausible.
And as for your blind shot technique?
Okay, that one is busted. Sticking your gun around the corner and blindly firing, you're not gonna hit anything.
Look at that, we got a full set.
Yeah, confirmed, plausible, and busted.
Is that a first?
Probably not.
Before Adam and Jamie unnaturally select the story of the two-story water heater rocket, they're tackling a tall-tale tangent from Tinseltown.
Next is sort of a tangent. Do you remember the day that we spent hanging onto the roof and hanging onto the hood of a car while the other one kept trying to shake us off?
Yeah.
Well, fans say that we missed a crucial Hollywood element to that story, the cardboard box.
You mean the cardboard boxes that inhabit every single Hollywood back alley?
Absolutely. They said, if you're gonna take someone off a car in a Hollywood movie, you gotta drive through a big stack of boxes.
I'm there.
In Car Roof Cling, Adam and Jamie got a grip Hollywood style.
Give me all you got.
to see if you could really hold on to a moving car through zigs, zags, and even sudden stops.
I'm actually seeing some stars from that.
But you weren't satisfied. Apparently, the guys missed out on the most obvious car cling cliche of all. Can you really hang in there when the baddie drives through an encumbrance of cardboard?
Well, it looks like it's time to dust off the old car crane and set up some boxes, drive through them at, what, 45 miles an hour?
Yeah, tell you what, I'll set up the cardboard boxes, and why don't you take the first trip through them, just to make sure it's all safe.
Okay.
So Jamie will be the car cling human Hoosier guinea pig. But first, the car needs some work.
You may remember that the last thing that we did on the car clean episode was take it through a car wash.
Oh, that's cool!
Now we've got to put it back.
Cue the MythBusters editing cure-all, a timely time-lapse with a slapdash of split screen. And with the rig ready to roll, it's back to the Alameda Naval Base, where Adam, for one, is excited.
I'd like to set the scene for you, if I might. I will be playing the driver. As such, I will be driving. And in some time in the past, I have insulted the mustachioed Hoosier played by Jamie. And he has come after me, and I cannot shake him. It's 6 months, and he's been running after every train and flying after every plane, and now he's on my car, and I can't shake him.
Will the fan request of a box blockade really be enough to knock Jamie down and out?
Sure enough, these boxes are filled with nothing but air, but just to make this one a little more interesting, I'm gonna have Jamie do it with the windows up.
But is the Man of Steel worried? Not one iota.
I don't even think I need to hold on when we're going through the boxes because other than get stuck on the big pink thing over my head, I don't see the problem here.
With Jamie as nonchalant as ever, Adam secures the rig.
All right, it's ready.
Then Jamie clips in and checks that the crane can still take his weight, providing a visual treat that's too good for Adam to resist.
You know how, like, vulcanized rubber was invented by accident?
Oui.
I think this may lead to a spate of Jamie Heineman piñatas all around the country. Once people see the mustached Hoosier floating around the front of the car in this test, they're going to want their own, and they're going to want it for their birthday.
But before any birthday celebrations, it's time to get myth-busting.
Go!
Slowly but surely, Adam accelerates up to a white-knuckle 45 miles an hour.
I'm gonna get into character. Who's that on my car? Oh, I couldn't shake them off. Oh, look, there's some boxes. I'll drive right through those and they'll get rid of it right away. Oh, no. There we go.
Remarkably, Jamie sticks to the car like a gecko covered in glue. Even though he releases his grip to lessen the blow, he doesn't budge at all.
I know you weren't expecting this result, but cardboard boxes turned out to be no match for the Heineman's super grip, even with the windows up.
We were moving pretty quick when we hit these boxes, but just like the boxes in any Hollywood movie, these things are full of air, and so there's not that much to them, and any Hollywood stuntman villain is going to be able to hang on to a car quite easily and go right through them.
So it was plain sailing for Jamie. But will it be such a breeze for Adam on the hood?
Well, it's my turn to be shaking off this car. I'm going to be trying it from the hood, and we have an added wrinkle that it's raining. But so what? Even if that makes it harder, rain happens in the real world. We can work with it.
But rain is not the only wrinkle Adam's facing.
Wrap me in.
Now it's time for Jamie to get a little payback. He's using both a lot more boxes than I did, and he stacked them in the way to provide the maximum amount of resistance to me for holding on. I still think I'm going to be able to hold on, though.
Adamant he'll be able to hold on, just like in the movies, Jamie floors it while Adam freaks out.
Here we go.
Yeah, I stayed on.
They nail it. At 45 miles an hour, Adam's grip held, and you could say he's rather pleased.
I
I'd say after that test, it's boxes 0, Adam as the supervillain, 1. There was a bit of resistance on my feet when I first went through, but otherwise than that, I didn't pretty much notice it.
But on closer inspection, Jamie's not so sure.
In the box test, Adam didn't get thrown off the car. He didn't get hurt or anything, but when we went back and looked at the footage, we saw something really interesting, and that was that for a second, Adam lost his grip on the hood, and he actually got plastered against the windshield.
It was a blink and you'll miss it moment. But Adam did momentarily let go. But he got his grip back before he slid off.
Yeah! So how do you want to call this one?
Well, I'd say the myth that you can hang on while driving through a pile of boxes is pretty well confirmed. I mean, it was a little disconcerting hitting all those boxes at high speed, but I wasn't in any danger of getting pushed off.
Now, this is helped by the fact that all the boxes you drive through in Hollywood seem to be empty. I think if you were driving through a shipment of VCRs or anvils, it would be a totally different story.
Yeah, especially anvils.
Yeah, but it's confirmed for now.
Next up for an evolution revolution is one of the coolest stories the team has ever tackled.
Okay, so our next myth evolution comes from one of our recent episodes, liquid nitrogen.
Cool. Get it?
Good one, Carrie. All right, so where's this one going?
Well, the fans want us to test another LN2 myth, this time that it can be used as a lockpick.
Yeah, I've seen that on TV, like MacGyver or Burn Notice. They spray liquid nitrogen into a lock, and then they can shatter it with a gun butt or a hammer.
Well, this sounds pretty simple to test. We'll just set up some locks, we'll try to break in with the regular burglar kit, and then we'll try to break in using liquid nitrogen, and we'll see which one's faster.
What is a regular burglar kit?
You know, like crowbars, hammers, stuff like that. You guys don't have a burglar kit?
No.
No.
Oh.
The last time it tackled liquid nitrogen, the fables the team faced were frightening.
That looked just like the movie.
And festive. But now they want to pick a lock or two. And to find out if freezing your locks off is really fact or fiction, Tori is starting with the control. A simple padlock at room temperature versus a hammer and crowbar combination.
Okay, control padlock.
3, 2, 1.
Woohoo!
4 seconds.
That's the reference point. Now, to find out what difference soaking the lock in liquid nitrogen will make.
So liquid nitrogen, very dangerous. You gotta shoot up first.
So we're on to test 2, which is the liquid nitrogen part of this test. We're going to pour liquid nitrogen directly on the lock and let it soak for a few minutes so it gets good and frozen, and then Tori's gonna give it the same bash that he gave the control lock. Okay, hose is off. Personally, I'm hoping for some sort of cartoon-like shatter here.
In 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Look at that. 1 second. I see we made a difference with the liquid nitrogen.
That is cool.
So this is what's left of the padlock after being subjected to liquid nitrogen. You can see, still incredibly cold. Tori hit it with 1 shot, and it shattered in less than a second.
So it's looking good for the myth. But considering the padlock was so easy to break, even without the LN2, the team wants a tougher challenge.
All right, if anybody needs me, I'll be in my office.
For that, they want a deadbolt. And as before, Tori is first going to smash through for a control comparison.
This always reminds me of elementary school.
School of Hard Knocks?
So I broke through the deadbolt using the pick and the sledgehammer.
Tick-tock, buddy. Cops are on their way.
But it took me 5.5 minutes. It was very hard, and it was very loud.
There you go.
Pretty sure somebody would have called the cops.
Go, go, go! Okay, 5 minutes and 37 seconds.
5 minutes and 37 seconds for the control. Now let's soak it in liquid nitrogen and see if we can blast through that lock faster.
With a full 4 minutes exposure to liquid nitrogen's mind-boggling minus 321 degrees Fahrenheit, the lock is ready for our not-so-subtle burglar.
In 3, 2, 1.
Oh my gosh! Look at that! That's incredible! 1 shot and the lock already broke.
Keep going, keep going.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Why is liquid nitrogen making it easier to break these locks? Well, all metal has a ductility to it, which means if I smash this lock with a hammer, it's going to deform the metal. Whereas if I introduce the liquid nitrogen to the lock, we are going to lower the temperature, causing all the particles that are in constant motion to slow down, removing energy, making it brittle, so that if I now smash it with a hammer, it's actually going to shatter.
Nice. That is incredible.
What's
1
the time?
minute, 4 seconds.
That is way less than half your time.
One shot and the lock shattered.
Oh, yeah.
That is so cool.
Cool, for sure. And the evidence is stacking up in favor of this freezing fable. But the team isn't satisfied just yet.
Okay, that small padlock was totally ridiculous. It was actually not that hard to break, even without the liquid nitrogen.
Yeah, I think we need something that gives us a bigger difference between liquid nitrogen and no liquid nitrogen.
Maybe something like this?
I love it.
So with the giant padlock secured to the bunker, Tori gets stuck in.
Man, this lock's a lot harder.
But even after 4 minutes of solid pounding with a sledgehammer, it's not the lock that breaks,
Come on, John Henry, you can beat it.
but the bunker.
Broke the handle of the bunker. The lock is still locked. Now, we asked for a beefier lock, and let's face it, we got it.
Yeah.
It still works.
But we're not gonna stop there. Now we're gonna try liquid nitrogen on the same exact kind of lock and see if that gives us the edge that we need. Okay.
This time the guys apply their LN2 for a full 5 minutes before Tori unleashes hell. And incredibly, after just 5 meaty blows, they're in.
14 seconds!
It's a massive result. On one hand, 4 minutes of failure. On the other, 14 seconds to success.
You guys, I can't believe it. Adding liquid nitrogen to a lock actually makes it easier to break. This myth is totally confirmed.
I know, and I just can't believe how big of a difference it made using the liquid nitrogen.
Wait, did we just give our audience a guide to making breaking and entering easier?
Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, okay, that did occur to me, but this is a difficult technique to use. 1, you need to carry around a thermally isolated vat of liquid nitrogen. 2, you need a large amount of safety equipment. 3, you need to apply it to the lock for at least 5 minutes. And 4, you need 3 people to pull it off. Yes, it's successful, but you know what? It's not the most subtle technique out there.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably not gonna catch on.
You know what, though? This myth is still confirmed.
Confirmed.
So far, Adam and Jamie have relaunched stage 1 of the water heater rocket cladogram and reached all new accurate heights.
I'm calculating a total height reached of about 560 feet. Okay, good.
Now, in part 2, you want to know, will the tank break through the roof of a 2-story house? Well, first, the guys have got to build one.
Love it! This is just a framework on which we are going to hang our house. Pull back this way a little bit. We're going to start putting down floors. One in the basement. Good, good, good. One here on the first floor. Put up a ceiling and a roof, and then it's time to plumb up a hot water heater. And then literally, the sky is the limit. Get it? The sky is actually the limit.
And for all you detail sticklers, here's Jamie with an explanation on why they're not quite nailing the building code.
I know what you're saying. According to code, we should be using nails instead of screws in some cases. What it's doing is allowing me to take this building apart and recycle the lumber, which is a big deal. We may blow some of it up in the process of our test, but what we don't, we're going to reuse. That's that.
And with the major construction complete, now begins the delicate task of hoisting the pieces into place.
Well, the moment we sent a hot water heater up through the roof of our little red shack, fans wrote to us and said, yeah, but dude, that's like a bungalow. In my house, the hot water heater's in the basement. You gotta do it again because it's gotta have more obstacles to be realistic. And we actually spent a lot of time and energy looking for 2-story houses to destroy. And then we realized we could just build one. In fact, not only could we just build one, we could build one without sides so that we could see exactly what was happening, because it's not about the walls, it's about the floors, it's about the obstacles in the way of the hot water heater. So we came up with this system, bolting together upright
4x4-inch pieces of steel tube holding together a steel frame on which we could place each of our 3 floors: basement, first floor, ceiling, and roof. All the obstacles we need to place in the way of our hot water heater.
That's perfect.
I'm about to dress the top floor. This right here is my interior decorating tool. There you go, Buster. All the comforts of home.
Jamie is plumbing the hot water heater down below.
And there we go.
Soon we're gonna find out if this thing can actually go through all of our model house.
Boom!
Next up, it's time for Carrie, Tori, and Grant to split.
Okay, so what's evolving for us?
Snowplow split from the Alaska Special.
Okay, that's the story where a car hits a snowplow, splits clean in half, a perfect bifurcation.
Yeah, we busted that one. The rear engine car got a great split, but still didn't make it all the way through.
Yeah, you're right. However, the fans want more. They've been sending us hundreds of emails saying, yes, the testing was good. Yes, the results were accurate. However, we did not replicate the results of the myth.
So the fans basically want some sort of monster crash scenario that cuts a car in half.
Sounds spectacular. Kind of hard, but spectacular.
It was an Alaskan anecdote that was no joke. A car allegedly plowed into a plow and was split completely in two. But then again, maybe not, because back in the real world, 2 incomplete splits
That is not bifurcated!
meant the myth was well and truly busted. But that wasn't good enough for you, because you've asked us to find out if under any supersized circumstances a car could ever be split in twain.
So in that last test, we got the car going 70 miles an hour. It smashed into that snowplow, split through the front end of the vehicle, the front axle, and the dashboard. It stopped before it even got through the toughest part of the car, the engine block.
Yeah, to get through that, we need impact forces 10 times that amount, which would mean our car would be going close to the speed of sound.
Now, to most people, that might sound very difficult, but we're MythBusters, and I think I know just the place.
Where?
Anybody fancy a trip to New Mexico Tech?
Yeah.
Yep, so it's off to the MythBusters Rocket Mecca to see if a subsonic snowplow can ever split a car.
So where do you go when you need to make a rocket-powered super plow? Well, New Mexico Tech. They actually have a rocket sled here that can propel materials in excess of 500 miles an hour. Now, just to put that into perspective for you, that is faster than a jet airplane.
Last time the team used this straight-track rocket roller coaster, they more than pancaked a car. And in a world first, Adam was speechless. This time, the man with the launch codes is our old friend, Dr. Van Romero.
So this is the rocket sled for our super plow.
Right, this is kind of the generic sled that we use to run down the track. We load rocket engines in here. Thrust comes out the back, and the business end of the sled is on the front.
And talking of the business end, it's time to beef up the plow part of the equation, because this time they're switching things around.
You can't just go to the store and buy an off-the-shelf plow. I mean, it would explode, it would disintegrate. So we've got to make our own plow from scratch using this giant pile of steel. We're going to weld it into a plow shape, attach it to the rocket sled, and send it down the track at the car.
Yep, unlike the previous experiment where the car was towed into the plow, this time the plow will be thrust into the car. But first, they've got to make it.
Well, this shouldn't take too long.
Now, we'll be done by lunchtime tomorrow.
We were thinking about making this wedge. We figured it had to be as thin as possible, and it had to be basically a solid piece of steel. Now, to get a solid piece of steel that big would be too hard. So what we did is we've taken many layers of steel, stacked them together to make that wedge shape. Then we welded it together. Now we're grinding it so that it has a sharp point.
While Grant and Tori have been prepping the Replicate the Results super plow, Carrie has been pimping the soon-to-be-pulped car.
Alaska!
And all it needs now is passengers.
We've got another set of our very unlucky inflatable people. You know, I let Tori blow these up before, but he got way too attached to them and it kind of creeped me out, so I'm taking the duty back. Should have brought the compressor. I have to tell you though, I was hanging out with your girlfriend, a little bit of an airhead. Sorry we didn't budget you any pants.
about to be involved in a 500-mile-an-hour head-on collision.
It's done. It looks great.
Being pantless is the least of his worries, because here comes the super plow.
Ready to see our super plow?
Yeah, how is it? Oh, it looks good.
I think the car's gonna lose.
Yep, but will it be cleanly bifurcated as per the fans' demands? The only way to find out is to get it off the truck
Okay, here we go.
and onto the track.
Yeah!
And with the plow in place, all the MythBusters need to do now is come back tomorrow and strap on those rockets.
That looks like about 500 miles an hour to me. At least.
The lovely warm California weather plus the crumbling housing market has allowed us to remove 80% of the structure of a house without removing any of the comforts of a home. Yes, you can while away your golden years sitting with the breeze running through your hair, California dreaming as the entire vista of the world passes right before your eyes.
Despite the sales pitch, if the myth is confirmed, the price won't go through the roof. The faulty water heater in the basement will.
This is either a hot water heater or it's a bomb. If it's a hot water heater, there's no problem. It just heats the water in your house. If it's a bomb, it fails catastrophically, sending the bottom shooting out, sending the top shooting up. This floor isn't going to offer much resistance to that water heater. The question we want to know is, what's it going to do when it hits this roof? Is it going to make a nice, clean, round hole I can stare all the way into the basement through? Or is it going to be interrupted on its journey into the sky and never make it out of the house? That's what we want to find out.
We're wired, we're plumbed, we're ready to go. All I need to do is fire the Jennies up and wait.
And with that generator up and running, the heating element inside the tank begins to slowly warm the water.
It's about 115 degrees. I'd say it's about time for a nice hot bath. What do you think?
Deep in Buster's basement, changes are occurring in his water heater. Changes that could affect his life. Oh, look, we've turned red.
175 PSI.
Ah, the suspense is killing me.
Normally, I don't like to bet on these things, but we've seen something very much like this before. And so I think it's going to make it quite a ways through the building. It might just make it out the top. Beyond that, I don't know.
Wow, an actual prediction. That's awesome.
Now it's really starting to accelerate.
All that potential just waiting.
It's really nice seeing it exposed like that. Our visible house, it's really extraordinary. See the whole thing clear as day.
I know, it's really elegant, isn't it?
Yeah. What's interesting to me here is that this is just a transfer of energy, 325.
Oh God, it's any second now. I don't want to turn back and look at the pressure anymore. I don't want to take my eyes off of it.
Starting with the diesel fuel that's powering the generator, it's creating electricity that allows us to heat up this water in a container that releases all that energy all at once. It's really kind of interesting in a Zen sort of way when you think about it. 330.
Okay, I'm going to do some live math here. The hot water heater itself is 18 inches in diameter. Now, for the area of that, it's pi r squared, which equals 254 square inches of the bottom. Now, you've got a pounds per square inch pressure inside of 336. Multiply that by 254, you get 85,500 pounds of pressure. Let me say that again, 85,500 pounds of pressure pushing against the bottom of the heater.
You would fail too.
335.
You know what I see? I see a hole in the roof, man.
Holy cow. Now that's what I call mission accomplished.
I wish you could be here for this kind of explosion, because when the hot water heater finally blows, we're staring right at it because we know where the zone is, and the thud that comes out of it is so deeply guttural and still whoa kind of thud. It's great. Watch it again.
Give me some skin there.
Looking at the damage the water heater did to the building, it left some neat holes in the first floor. and through the roof, which is no big deal, but looking more carefully, you realize what a shock the entire building took.
Wow. Yeah, look at how much damage it did to the plywood right here.
The cinder blocks that I put underneath the ground floor are actually shattered from the downward push. It actually lifted the entire roof off of its seat and then set it down. You know, this would pretty much ruin your house.
Look at that, man. It tipped the TV table over, but Buster's still in the couch.
It's true that Buster is still sitting pretty, but he's got Adam to thank for that.
I knew where the explosion was going to happen, and I accommodated for the explosion by moving the couch away so that it wouldn't tear Buster to shreds, and that's exactly what it did. Hot water heater went up right in front of Buster, between him and the television. I have to say, I'll bet he'd have soiled pants if he had the ability to soil pants.
What does all this carnage mean for our myth? I'm glad you asked. I think it handily plausibilizes it. I think absolutely if you manage to idiotically cap off all the safety systems on the hot water heater in the basement of your house, it's going to go up through the floor, up through the ceiling, up through the roof, and leave a hole in its wake.
Let's check out the water heater.
All right. Well, there's your problem.
Well, the water heater did its job pretty much on target. It went through the building just.
It spun around up here and then bang! We caught it back on our scaffolding. That's pretty hot. That's a good day.
Yep, it has been a good day. A satisfying explosion, or two, a new water heater rocket world record at 560 feet, plus a plausible conclusion to the myth that a water heater can blast through the roof of your two-story home, albeit only just.
Well, that's not a bad day's work, and a plausible myth to boot.
Yeah, your hot water heater could just be a ticking time bomb in your basement.
I'm king of the sled track.
Our intrepid trio are evolving the third installment in the Snowplow trilogy. First, there was the curse of the snowplow.
Forgot to activate the brake.
You didn't activate the brakes!
And while the sequel went a lot smoother, fans weren't happy. You want to see a snowplow split a car completely in half using whatever means necessary.
Oh, crap. Somebody graffitied all over our sled.
And the means that the MythBusters are going to use is a cool 75,000 pounds of rocket thrust. But what's not so cool is the art Carrie has brought to the plow project.
I added some finishing touches so that it'll look better on high speed. Now it's bright.
Oh, you did this?
Yeah, isn't it pretty?
Perfect. Good job. So this is it, the final experiment for snowplow, and this is how it's gonna go down. This is our super plow that we're gonna load up with 12 rockets. It's gonna propel this sled 750 feet down the track going 500 miles an hour.
But we actually need the sled to travel 770 feet, because for the last 20 feet, it's gonna come off the track and fly through the air.
It hit our target, this car. If all goes according to plan, only the wedge part of the super plow should cut right through the car, and the rocket sled should slide right underneath.
But before launch time, Grant gets the lowdown on the all-important firepower.
So the sled we're going to use for our experiment, how many rockets are going to be on that?
We're going to use 12 of these 5-inch HVARs. Each one has about 6,500 pounds of thrust. So total, we should get about 75,000 pounds of thrust on that one sled.
What speed are we going to be able to get up to?
The sled should be going about 500 miles an hour when it impacts the car.
So do you have any extras of these just laying around?
Yeah, don't touch that.
And while the New Mexico Tech techs lock and load their rockets, the MythBusters are predicting the end of the road for the car.
So far, we have not been able to split a car all the way in half with the snowplow. We used a front engine vehicle, that didn't work. We used a rear engine vehicle, that didn't work. But now we have a rocket-powered super plow. This thing is gonna be going 500 miles an hour. I don't think it really matters where the engine is on this vehicle. Is it gonna split it right in half? I don't think so. I have a feeling once it hits that engine, wherever the engine is, it's just gonna shred that car into a bunch of little pieces.
Now I know what this rocket sled can do, And I've seen what a snowplow with a really sharp pointy tip can do to a car at 70 miles an hour. Now, when this rocket sled's going 500 miles an hour into this car, I think it doesn't have a chance. It's not only going to split into two, but it's going to explode into 1,000,000 pieces just in two directions. All the rockets are loaded. That thing has to weigh like 2 tons by now.
And remember, there's 12 rockets on there for a total of 75,000 pounds of thrust.
And this thing's gonna be going 500 miles an hour. If this doesn't split the car, I don't know what will.
Well, the safest place to be is in the bunker, so let's get inside.
I thought one of us was gonna ride it.
Let's see how it goes this time, and maybe next time, Buckaroo. Come on.
Where's your sense of adventure?
Denied a Dr. Strangelove rocket ride.
Lockdown. We're ready to launch.
Tori hunkers in the bunker with the rest of the team. And a strange, eerie silence settles on the scene. The proverbial calm before the storm.
This is rocket-powered super plow versus front-engine vehicle going at 500 miles an hour in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Wow.
That went so much faster than I thought it was going to.
Oh, that was great. It was like here 1 second and then gone.
Gone in a 1/6 of a second. The rockets fire, and 75,000 pounds of thrust throw the super plow along the track at a spectacular 550 miles per hour. And when the dust and shrapnel settle, the team discovers a spectacular result.
We split it! I cannot believe we split the car in half. Look at it, it went right down the tape line. We have 2 perfect halves of the car.
Dude, it actually split the engine in half.
Yeah, that's rad. Check it out.
Yeah, this is what we couldn't do in Wisconsin. We split the engine block.
Well, when you get that much force.
That is crazy.
With that complete bifurcation, the guys got exactly what they came for and what you wanted. Except there seems to be something missing.
Sled. But where is the plow?
The rockets went so much faster than I expected. It was just shoot. And the car, we couldn't even see it was split in two until we walked up here because there was just so much dirt in the air. We got up here, half a blue car, half a yellow car. Still can't find the wedge.
That's because it's in 1,000 tiny pieces. After cutting a slice through the car, the solid steel super plow disintegrated on impact with the concrete barrier.
That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I mean, we do a lot of explosions on this show, we do a lot of car crashes, but I have never seen a rocket-powered super plow cut a car in half. And we did it. We replicated the results of this myth. It's still busted, but we replicated the result.
So this, my friends, is the hood of our former Target car, cut perfectly in half right down the line. Now, even though we succeeded in cutting the car in half, this myth is still busted because this is the ramped up super plow version, not the sort of energy you could run into on the street every day.
I don't think we're ever going to find the wedge.
I still cannot believe we cut a car in half.
Well, that, my friends, is the end of another excellent experiment.
On this episode of MythBusters,
Fire in the hole!
it's wham, bam, thank you, fans. It's another Myths Revisited special.
So tell me what might happen this time.
where you judge how the MythBusters have been conducting themselves. Were Adam and Jamie responsible for a trombone travesty?
That's just awesome.
Did the exploding hammers myth strike a low blow?
Whoa!
And we revisit 2 high-caliber myths, where you say the guys didn't aim up.
Oh, Jamie!
Now we're talking.
Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage.
Ow, 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 ow.
And Jamie Heineman.
It's almost too exciting.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience.
Cue dramatic music.
Joining them, Carrie Byron,
That's gonna be so cool!
Grant Imahara,
Listen to that baby purr.
and Tori Belleci.
Paramedics are nowhere to be found.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. Yes, it's that time again. The MythBusters are going to answer their critics the only way they know how, by going back to the drawing board. And first on the chopping block, a myth that has long been a trombone of contention with fans.
Yeah, you know, we shot Mad Trombonist during season 1. That's the longest distance we've ever had between a myth and its revisit. What the heck did we get wrong?
There wasn't a trombonist.
Once upon a time, 2 fresh-faced fledgling MythBusters blew up some brass. The myth, a trombonist wants to put a bit more bang into the 1812 overture. So he fills his mute with firecrackers. When they go off, the force of the blast turns the trombone slide into a musical missile, which strikes the conductor and knocks him into the audience. But no matter how much black powder Jamie packed into that trombone, the slide wouldn't fly. When the smoke had cleared and the police had calmed down, Adam was adamant.
We have taken this myth absolutely to pieces. This is another rarity for us. Every aspect of it is completely impossible.
That left fans feeling brassed off, and they've been demanding an encore performance ever since. Only this time, they want to see a pair of lips pressed against the trombone's mouthpiece.
So how would a trombonist have made a difference?
The idea is that the trombonist's lips would seal the trombone more effectively, hence making the explosive propel the slide off the end of the trombone like a rocket.
Okay, that's good enough. You know, if we're gonna do this though, I think we should make sure we can put it way to bed. Let's put a pair of lips behind the mouthpiece, but if that doesn't work, let's make a mouthpiece that we weld shut.
Sure.
Okay, so according to you guys, having someone's mouth pressed against the trombone will make it a sealed system. Expanding gases from the explosion will no longer be able to escape through the mouthpiece. They'll have nowhere to go but through that slide. Right, you asked for it. Adam and Jamie are going to take it again from the top.
Look at all those trumpets.
Did you play the trumpet?
No.
Weren't you a bugler in the Civil War?
Once again, the guys go trawling for trombones. Second hand, of course.
They're perfect.
They also need some mouthpieces. And some mutes.
Unfortunately, this is the last note this trombone will ever play.
Trust Adam to turn a trombone into an instrument of torture. Question is, will they still be able to blow their own trumpet when this revisit's done?
Finger in a barrel. I knew we were gonna have to revisit this one. That's the one where a gun barrel can explode into a banana peel, just like in the cartoons.
This one's well worth a revisit, if only so we can catch up with our friends, the Mythtoons. They're a gun barrel of laughs. When our familiar foes come face to face, there's plenty of animated animosity. But instead of saying his prayers, our cheeky red-haired rodent forces his finger into the barrel, and the hunter's best-laid plans backfire big time. The MythBusters tried to get the same result in real life. They took modern rifles and plugged ballistics gel fingers into the barrels. The bullets won, hands down.
Look at the very tip
I'll
of the
be
barrel.
darned.
And while they got one or two bulges in their barrels, nothing could trigger that famous cartoon banana peel.
I don't want to count our chickens before they hatch, but I think we may end up revisiting this one.
Well, Adam, those chickens have now hatched, and they're coming home to roost. Since busting the myth, fans have been firing a volley of suggestions.
First, we should try this. It's an older gun with a Damascus barrel.
And what is that?
Well, up until the 20th century, they were making Damascus barrels, and that's where they would take alternate strips of steel and iron, twist it around a rod, and then weld it together. So it wasn't one piece of metal.
Okay, so let's get that straight. A Damascus barrel was made by taking strips of iron and steel and welding them together. According to fans, those weld points weaken the structure, and if the barrel is blocked, they'll give us our cartoon peel back.
Oh, it looks like I need to go dig out the hand molds we used last time.
And I'll work on a remote trigger because if this does indeed work, it could very well explode.
While the guys get to work, let's revisit the science behind this cartoon caper. Pull the trigger of a gun and there's a small explosion. The expanding gases propel the bullet through and out the barrel. Block the barrel, however, and the gas has nowhere to escape. The pressure builds and gun ruptures. Some fans might rupture too when they see what the MythBusters are going to do with this collector's item.
Boy, you better marry my daughter.
This 10-gauge shotgun had both barrels fashioned Damascus style.
This one was made in 1877, so it's an antique. And we're gonna destroy it.
Grant mounts the shotgun on Jamie's special rifle rig and wires up a remote trigger.
I have a radio control system that transmits a wireless signal to the receiver. The receiver sends a control signal to the servo. It's going to turn the head of the servo, which pulls a string. The string goes around the trigger and is captured on the other side by a hose clamp, and then that fires the gun. 3, 2, 1. There you go.
Meanwhile, you gotta hand it to Carrie. She's got hand making down pat.
So here we have a ballistics gel hand with a skeleton cast inside. It's been sitting up overnight, and the nervous part is over because it came out of the mold and looks all right.
Out in the MythBusters' purpose-built bunker, the rifle rig is screwed down, and Carrie fits the finger into the Damascus barrel.
Another thing that I read off the message board was people were complaining that we didn't have a skin layer on the outside of our ballistics gel. So I've been recommended to use a finger from a glove to create a skin layer, which will make an extra seal. Here we go. One skin layer, an extra bit of authenticity, and at least one audience member, if not many, much more satisfied with our result.
Hey, Al.
Overseeing the experiment, firearms specialist Sergeant Alan Normandy. He always rides shotgun when the guys go busting gun myths.
So we have the shotgun set up. What kind of ammo are we using today?
Well, today we're going to go with maximum power, so we're going with a 3.5-inch Magnum 10-gauge rifled slug.
That's a big bullet.
It's a big shell.
It's the first round this museum piece has seen in quite a while.
This shotgun is absolutely unsafe with modern ammunition.
Fantastic!
All right.
Tori, Carrie, and Grant are revisiting the finger in the barrel myth. Fans say this antique shotgun with its old-fashioned welded Damascus barrel will give them a result worthy of Toontown.
In 3, 2, 1.
Oh, wow!
Hey, we got something.
The hand's gone.
Dang, I think the gun's ruined. That's pretty good. It's better than what we got last time.
First time round, all they got was a little barrel bulge. This time, the Damascus barrel's torn open and peeled back like cardboard. That's a better result, but it's still not the full banana. And unlike the cartoons, the guy who pulled the trigger still has a face.
Our shooter doesn't look harmed at all.
But the guy with the finger, little worse for wear, wouldn't you say?
Not so good.
It's obvious a flesh and bone finger isn't strong enough to cause a barrel to explode. So, Tori wants to take a slight detour on the road to Damascus barrel busting.
I found this piece of steel. It fits perfectly in the barrel, like so. I'm just gonna cut off a little piece, and then I'm gonna sculpt it to look like a finger, just because I can.
Being the model maker that he is, Tori is pretty handy at making a finger.
And there's my steel finger.
Tori, that needs to go into another orifice. Thank you.
I am gonna weld in the steel finger that I made into the good barrel. This way, we're sure that it's not gonna pop out when we take a shot.
The barrel is now well and truly blocked. Back in the bunker, the shotgun is remounted. And Carrie loads another shell.
Okay, we're hot.
We're set for a cartoon catastrophe.
Fire in the hole! 3, 2, 1!
The shotgun suddenly becomes a sawn-off.
That's not a banana peel. That's like loss of tip.
That just total shattered the end off.
But where's the finger?
End is gone.
We wrecked the gun.
Steel finger.
Gone.
Gone.
All right, well, we'll find the finger later.
Our hirsute hunter has suffered no ill effects, but the Damascus is done for.
So in our second test with the steel plug welded into the Damascus barrel, we didn't get any banana peeling effect. Now this piece may look like it's a banana peel, but it's not actually a part of the barrel. This is just a detail piece that goes between the two barrels of this double-barreled shotgun.
Once again, the finger myth gets the thumbs down. It's a musical mishap that could have come straight from the golden age of slapstick. Can a mute full of fireworks turn a trombone slide into a musical missile? For this raucous recital, Adam and Jamie are off to the Alameda County Bomb Range. Look at this. Isn't this so MythBusters? Jamie's truck flanked by the bomb squad and the paramedics. Just like last time, Buster the conductor will have to face the music. He'll be propped up on a simple metal frame. Should he be buffeted by flying brass, he'll topple backwards. Now he just has to dress for the occasion. Hey, Buster, that suit's a nice, cut.
Butt's too big.
Last time they tried this, the trombone was on its own. This time, crucially, they've got a bust of Grant puckering up behind the mouthpiece.
This is ballistics material. It's got the same consistency as human flesh, human muscle tissue. That's behind this mouthpiece. He is snugged there. That is a committed trombonist behind this mouthpiece.
To make sure that the slide can launch smoothly, Jamie takes out his handy tube of lube and goes to work. And we suddenly find out yet another startling fact about his past.
The only time I had any kind of band instrument experience was I got a hold of an old tuba, so I mounted it in the bathroom when I was a teenager, and you could sit on the toilet and everybody in the house knew what was going on.
That's unique.
Hold it. At this point, there are so many one-liners, my brain's about to explode. Stuff about movements, bum notes, crotchets, and wind. Oh, no! Okay, better now. While we try to wipe from our minds the image of the Heinemann Cistern Symphony, let's take stock.
Here is a disgruntled or very ambitious trombone player. He's decided during the 1812 overture to fill his mute with explosives for the finale. He fills them with explosives, they blow up, they send his slide shooting all the way towards the conductor, boom, who falls backwards and into the audience. That's the myth.
With the bomb squad supervising, the mute is packed with black powder and loaded into the trombone bell. Places, please, everybody. We're ready to strike up the band.
Good to go.
This is Mad Trombonist. Lips behind the mouthpiece revisit in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I can see the slide moved a little bit.
Just a little.
I'm having the most shocking sense of deja vu.
The high speed shows the mute flying from the trombone like shiny shrapnel and bouncing off Buster's cranium. But he remains unmoved. And as for the trombone slide, well, it's still firmly attached to the instrument.
The trombonist's lips don't seem worse for wear, but I don't think they made much of a difference.
In the name of due diligence, and because they love blowing stuff up, the guys reset for a reprise. This time, Jamie doubles the amount of black powder.
That's perfect.
This mute is going to be anything but.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The music's on fire.
Now that's a finale.
In the aftermath of the second bomb trombone, it seems the MythBusters might have settled an old score with the fans.
Again, just like the last one, we can see the shockwave in the bell, and the slide didn't come off.
That's about the only thing that didn't suffer with this one, is the slide.
It didn't even knock the baton from his hand.
Which is barely hanging there.
This musical myth is looking more busted than Pete Townshend's guitar. Or is it?
I think there's one last thing we could do to put this to bed once and for all, and that would be to take our second backup trombone and solder or weld the mouthpiece so that no air can escape from it.
Okay.
Not just count on the lips, but make a complete blockage there and see if that works.
If you say so.
Try and have some enthusiasm, Jamie.
Don't believe the cartoons, friends. Shoving your finger in the barrel of a gun won't make the gun explode. Your hand, however, will.
The guy with the finger. A little worse for wear, wouldn't you say?
Not so good.
But that's not all, folks. Having busted the myth a second time, the MythBusters now want to find out what will make a barrel bend back like a banana peel.
That's like loss of tip.
And the fans have a surefire suggestion.
So next test is somebody was shooting a 30-06 with the bore sighter still in the barrel, and that thing ripped to shreds.
I'm extremely familiar with the pictures of that. I have had so many emails sent to my inbox going, look, banana peel.
We got the same exact gun that happened with, so we're gonna set that up and try it the same way.
I really want to find out if that's real.
Do these photos show a real deal peel? Are they smoking gun evidence? The MythBusters have their sights set on finding out.
With the bore sighter, you put it in, you turn on the laser, and where the laser goes, that's where the bullet should go. Then you get your scope, and you put your crosshairs on that laser point.
Of course, you're supposed to take the bore sighter out of the barrel before pulling the trigger, something our unfortunate marksman apparently forgot to do. Sergeant Normandy's got a theory as to how this scenario might work.
Perhaps the little rubber gaskets on the bore sighter create such an adequate seal on what is a fairly small diameter for the bullet that it creates so much pressure in the barrel that it blows it up.
Containment, combustion, explosion.
Exactly.
Okay, then let's see.
Okay, we are loaded.
They've got a brand new 30-06 hunting rifle with a bore sighter stuck in the barrel.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, what the heck?
I think the bore sighter bounced off the bullet catcher and hit the light.
Oh, wait a minute. We got a split.
Did we?
Yeah, it split the barrel.
Wow.
That's about a 3-inch split. The barrel's separated from the stock. The bore sighter's in bits, but still no banana peel.
Well, I'm feeling like it is possible. I mean, we have never gotten any kind of damage like this before where it's actually splitting down the length of the barrel.
Think about it. This has got to be a 1 in a million shot to create that banana peel effect. We've got a crack up the barrel, we've got the stock separated. I mean, under the perfect circumstances, that photo could be that 1 in a million shot.
Also, we don't know what the age of the gun was, what kind of abuse it might have gone through. This is a brand new gun.
That's a totally valid point. It's like he could have had that gun for years and it was already stressed. That's a great point.
All right, so I guess we call this one plausible.
Plausible.
I agree.
From one firearm myth to another that made fans fume.
Sniper scope revisit?
Yeah, I am very pleased that we found some things to retest in this one, because personally, I don't really enjoy making snipers angry.
Is that why you're wearing this thing?
Yes, it is. So, what exactly did we get wrong on the first try?
Well, according to some viewers, we used the wrong rifle and/or the wrong scope.
Oh, is that all?
This myth goes back to Vietnam. The story goes that U.S. Marine sniper Carlos Hathcock took out his VC counterpart with a single shot straight down the scope. But when Adam and Jamie scored direct hits on scope after scope, the bullets never made it all the way through, leading Adam to conclude,
We don't have the scope that Gunny Hathcock shot at, so we can't know for sure. I say we have to call this myth busted.
fans went, well, ballistic.
So what was wrong with the scope?
Well, fans say that we were not using a period scope, which apparently has a lot fewer glass elements than a modern scope, and thus, by extension, should be easier to get through with a bullet.
Okay. What about the ammo?
Yeah, well, it turns out that the modern ammo we used, while very accurate, is designed much more efficiently to kill than the period ammo, which means it breaks up much faster. That we got a letter saying the period ammo would have made it through more glass than modern ammo.
It was a harder bullet.
Yes.
Okay, let's see how the MythBusters aim up this time.
Did that sit there like that?
Fresh from helping out with finger in a barrel, Sergeant Alan Normandy will once again be calling the shots.
According to photographic evidence, this is the exact same model of rifle that Gunnery Sergeant Hathcock would have been firing against. Exact same rifle, exact same mount, exact same scope. This is not a replica rifle. This is an actual period gun.
It looks like there's some Russian writing on here. You want to see if you can translate?
There's Russian writing on the rifle. Lucky Jamie studied Russian literature.
Первое сооружение заводе СССР в Туле 1928. So it means that it was made in 1928, and it was the first issue of the factory, I believe.
Alan's also scoped out a bunch of period-correct scopes. Put next to their modern counterparts, you can see that size does matter.
You can see that there's a size difference. There's not much of a difference in functionality. There's between 6 and 8 elements in each of these scopes. The light is moving similarly through them, but the lenses in this one are much bigger, which means they're much fatter. There's a lot more glass for the bullet to get through. There's a lot less glass for the bullet to get through in this scope.
Last time, the bullets were hitting the modern scope dead on, but were deflected by the heavy-duty lenses inside. That shouldn't be a problem with this scope.
If we can't fire through this scope, this myth is busted.
Grant's ballistic bust is on another tour of duty, this time as the sniper. His rifle and scope setup is authentic, exactly what Sergeant Hathcock's enemy target would have been using.
For this test, we're going to use this 30-06 rifle with an original 1968 vintage M72 173 grain round. This is the actual type of round that Gunny Hathcock would have used in his rifle.
30-06, 173 grain. This is a solid, full metal jacket round.
We've seen what these 30-06 bullets do several times in the past, and we know that, for example, this bullet right here will go through 2 thicknesses of the ballistics glass that we use to protect ourselves here. These really are powerful bullets.
Jamie prepares to replicate Sergeant Hathcock's killer shot.
Deep breath, let it surprise you.
Dude. Oh, man.
How'd I do?
Well, we obliterated the scope mount, for one. That's what I can see from here. I think we wasted a little energy on some of the metal.
Jamie was just off target. The bullet didn't make it through the scope. Instead, it smashed the casing. Our sniper's still a clear and present danger. It looks like the old scope isn't as easy to penetrate as first thought.
It may seem like the period scope has less glass to penetrate, and it probably does, but here's the catch. The period scope has a metal ring that's actually quite thick that the bullet has to push all that glass through to get to the other side. It's a little more difficult than it might seem.
Adam's solution is typically straightforward.
I don't know. I'm starting to think that we should just place this thing at point blank for the highest percentage of just seeing what the bullet will do.
I'm all for it.
But Jamie doesn't agree. He thinks Adam's taking a pot shot at his aiming ability. And soon our science-loving snipers are sniping at each other.
I was pretty centered. I just need to move it up a little bit. I don't like to change the variables every time we redo a test here.
Well, I wasn't trying to change variables. I was trying to eliminate them.
Well, by moving the desk closer, we're kind of like having...
By moving it all the way up to the barrel is kissing the thing, that's just removing the variable of aim. If you want to keep working with the variable of aim, I'm happy to.
Okay.
Jamie sets for a second shot.
Making ready for live fire.
He adjusts his aim just a fraction. And another 30-06 round thunders into the sniper's scope.
That looked like a good shot. Well, the glass is all obliterated. That's one good sign.
Adam admits admiration.
Well, that was a good shot, Jamie. That made it all the way through. The question is that our bullet?
Sure looks like it to me.
Really? Oh, yeah, there's the copper.
It melted some of the glass with some of the heat exchange.
Wow.
So that's definitely copper.
The bullet blasted straight through the scope, but somehow stopped before Sniper Grant's beady eye.
The bullet made it all the way through and obliterated the glass, but it still was just sitting right there.
Yep. Our little guy here is not happy at all, but he's not dead.
The period scope plus the period rifle and the period ammo all made significant differences, but I still want to call this one busted.
What do you think, Al?
I'm not ready to call it over just yet. I got one little trick up my sleeve. USGI 30-06 armor-piercing ammunition.
Let's do it.
Now, the next myth ripe for revisiting is one I don't quite remember. Can a hammerhead really explode? Oh, that type of hammerhead. Got it. Sorry.
You know what? It's always the little ones. You think you've tested them thoroughly, but the fans, they still complain about it. It's exploding hammer.
Oh, you know, I really thought we nailed that one.
I think we did too, but the people disagree.
Why?
Why don't we let the narrator explain?
Oh, okay then. Well, see, it all started when Jamie innocently used one hammer to bang another. "Don't do that," fans exclaimed. "A hammer can explode if struck by another hammer." Well, of course, that sparked a frenzy of flailing tools as the MythBusters tried to blow a hammer sky high without success.
Looks like the handle's bent, but no shattering.
But according to fans, they got one or two things wrong. For a start, the modern hammers they tested were too soft. And when they fired up the homemade forge to try and harden a hammer, they didn't get the temperature right. Nag, nag, nag. And to top it all off, the anvil they used wasn't a real anvil.
What?
It was what blacksmiths call an asso, or anvil-shaped object.
So it looks like we need to get some pre-World War II hammers, some modern-day hammers that we can get all the way to transition temperature and then quenched, and finally, I think we need to get ourselves a real anvil.
Sounds like another trip to the blacksmith.
You got it.
So the guys are going to take another swing at this one. First, they'll take two modern commercial hammers, have them super hardened by a blacksmith, and see if it's crunch time.
Whoa!
Then they'll try it with antique, work-hardened hammers.
Let's see if fans are right.
And finally, they'll put the antique tools up against a real anvil. Now, last time around, Tori put together a top hammer-swinging rig.
Like couple ammo.
It'll be like blood down.
which he promptly destroyed after the myth had been busted.
We need the hammer rig. Unfortunately, I've chopped it up and turned it into a chop saw table. You'd think we would learn.
While Tori puts the rig back together, Carrie and Grant are off to forge a relationship with a blacksmith.
You even look like a blacksmith. Amazing.
Well, thank you.
As president of the California Blacksmithing Association, Herb Upham knows a thing or two about swinging steel.
See here where a rather large piece has broken free from the top and has probably flown off at nearly the speed of sound.
Really?
Really.
Are you serious? The speed of sound.
The speed of sound.
And he has one or two hammer horror stories.
The chip flew off the hammer head and cut the artery in their left arm.
Oh my God. So, what happened?
They needed some immediate first aid because the artery where it was severed was squirting blood directly out of their arm.
Modern hammers are a blend of metals, including tungsten and chrome, which softens the tool, making it less likely to chip and shatter. To make a hammer harder, you heat it to the point where the metal loses its magnetism. That's called the transition temperature. Then when the steel cools, it's harder, and so the theory goes, more likely to shatter. Now, the MythBusters tried this last time, but their homemade forge just wasn't hot enough. Herb's propane-fueled forge is a different beast.
Herb, that's like the Easy Bake Oven from hell.
Yes, it will toast your waffles to almost 3,000 degrees.
The brand new hammers are given the heat treatment, and when they no longer hold any attraction for a magnet, they're quickly cooled.
This hammer is now as hard as it's ever going to get.
All right.
But has the process made it any more shatter-prone?
It's in the danger zone. This, if you struck it or hit it on something, it would have a very high likelihood of shards coming off, shattering, and doing some real damage.
Great.
Excellent. Danger.
We'll take two.
Back at Hammer headquarters, Tori's reassembled the rig. It's powered by compressed air and a pair of pneumatic actuators.
In 3, 2, 1.
It works!
Out in the blast chamber, it's hammer time.
The bang of the bang of the bang of the...
Herb's heat-treated modern hammers are about to swing. If the fans are right, we should be in for a smashing time.
I'm gonna attach them to the rig closer to the head, so that way there's no chance of bending. All that energy will take place at the hammerheads.
First time round, the guys worked out that a top human hammer swing hits with a force of around 50 pounds per square inch. 50 psi works out to be 795 inch-pounds of torque. Will that be enough to make those hammers explode?
We should probably define what an explosion is before we do this test.
Did you see the Death Star when it went out? I want to see that, but like it's a hammer.
We want a shattering of hammerheads.
We want it to look like it was made of rock candy.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Whoa! We broke off the handle.
Yeah.
Well, it busted, but it didn't explode.
No, in fact, there's no damage to the head.
If these hardened hammers won't explode, there's no way a hardware store hammer is going to even think about going west.
These are modern hammers with modern alloys that are specifically made not to shatter. They're made not to break into pieces. I mean, they're extra hardened. So if it's not going to happen with our hardened hammers, it's not going to happen with a modern hammer.
High five.
Don't get too cocky, guys. You might have hammered home the point on the modern tools, but antiques and anvils are still waiting in the wings. Adam and Jamie have one last shot at shooting a sniper through his scope. And they're going to take it using armor-piercing ammunition. This bullet has a tungsten carbide core. It's designed to drill through quarter-inch steel plate without fragmenting. They're down to their last scope. Jamie will have to be right on target. They stick a dot to the dummy's eye, so any damage will show up clearly.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You feeling good? You gonna make the shot?
Yeah.
It's make or break for this myth.
Deep breath on the exhale, squeeze slowly.
Jamie gets a bead on the enemy's eyepiece.
You took his wig off. Whoa! Oh, Jamie!
Now we're talking.
Jamie's pulled off the perfect shot.
That hole is right down the middle of the scope. It couldn't be any cleaner than that.
I see a disintegrated dot with maybe a hole in the middle.
But what happened to the bullet? It's not amongst the scope debris, and there's no exit wound in the dummy.
Hole in the back of the head.
I gotta say, that's worth looking into. I think we should take it back to the shop, cut it open, do a real autopsy, see if there's a bullet in him.
Okay.
I'm driving.
They heft the head back to HQ. And with absolutely no surgical precision whatsoever,
Good, we're getting in there. That's good.
Adam carves himself a wedge.
All right, I'm gonna cut this chunk out.
I mean, don't let this guy near your fresh-baked apple pie.
Okay. Hey, look at that. That looks like debris a good 2 inches into the sniper's eye.
Sure enough, like an insect trapped in amber, the bullet is buried in the gel.
Well, gee, that looks like a bullet.
And that means the fans have scored a direct hit.
Well, that's definitive. This bullet made it all the way through one of these scopes and in far enough to be a kill. That's a plausible myth.
Yep, he's dead. The fans were right.
I'm really glad that we no longer have to worry about a 3,000-yard restraining order against angry sniper fans.
The MythBusters have shown that a modern hammer, even a heat-treated one, isn't about to explode in the user's face.
There's no damage to the head.
So Jamie was never in any real danger. But what if our berate banger had been using historic hammers? Before World War II, hammers were fashioned from straight steel. Theoretically, the high carbon content makes them more brittle and therefore more likely to explode on impact. Tori takes the heads of 2 antique tools and welds them onto the swing and rig.
This next test should address 2 issues. One, pre-World War II hammers, which means they should have a higher carbon content. And secondly, they are seriously work-hardened. Blacksmith work-hardened, not just our shop work-hardened.
Let's see if the fans are right.
And 3, 2, 1.
The hammers go head-to-head.
Oh, that was a massive hit.
But apparently, even old hammers die hard.
Obviously, neither of these exploded.
No.
Not even a chip.
No.
Not content with sending an email, one blacksmith named Dorothy has actually sent in some pre-World War II hammers for the guys to test. She's sure her antique tools will give the guys their big break.
These have been work hardened over many years, and she's actually retired them because she feels they're too unsafe.
Are these modern alloy hammers or are these pre-World War II?
These are old hammers.
They're ready to go.
All right.
So are we.
Here we go. Oh wait, I don't need this.
Don't worry, Grant.
Never can be too safe.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. Whoa! Well,
Nah.
It looked like they hit right on the face.
Oh yeah.
And what do you know? One of Dorothy's retired tools has given this myth its best crack at success.
It's a chip and a crack.
Yeah, that's not bad.
She wasn't lying. They're ready to go.
Surely, if it's subjected to a second blow straight away, it'll shatter like honeycomb.
You know, this is probably our best chance of getting an exploding hammerhead.
That's true. There's got some serious fissures and weaknesses in there.
Yep. This is it.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
That hammer's lost its head, but still, no explosive shattering.
I mean, if you hit a hammer and you saw a crack like that, you would obviously stop using it.
Absolutely.
You ready?
Yeah.
Tori, Carrie, and Grant are still trying to make a hammer explode. They've really been putting their heads together. But to date, their best result has been a single fracture.
I think that does it for hammer versus hammer.
Yeah.
Maybe, Grant, but fans want one more test. Hammer versus anvil. And they want to see a real anvil this time, not the lightweight copy you tried to pass off in the original story.
This is 260 pounds worth of heat-treated tool steel that is a real anvil.
Now they're looking for a way to slam a hammer down on it. The sharpest tool in the shed's been struck by an idea.
Decapitation hazard, everybody.
This powerful rotating rig was once used to cut a sword with a sword.
What I need to do is rotate it 90 degrees, so that way, instead of doing this, the rig will do this.
This new hammer-heaving hunk of metal will also be powered by compressed air.
The really good thing about it is that it can be scaled up. We can start out at human pressure, but then it has the ability, thanks to the huge actuator, to go to superhuman strength.
Tori attaches an antique hammer. Remember, the older and more work-hardened the tool, the harder and more brittle the steel.
All right, you guys ready?
In 3, 2, 1.
Does that look like anything happened?
Hammer hits anvil with maximum human force, 795 inch-pounds of torque.
Holy crap. There's a huge crack in the head of this. It's very faint, but you can see right along there is a hairline crack.
Maybe, but there are no chips, no steel shards, and definitely no explosion.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Superhuman strength? You got it.
Grant ups the air pressure to 100 psi. The rig will now deliver more than 1,500 inch-pounds of torque.
Way faster, way stronger than any human could possibly swing a hammer. 3, 2, 1.
The god of thunder himself couldn't have connected any harder.
Well, the head didn't explode.
Yep, that was a massive hit.
I thought that was going to be it. I mean, we took every single factor into account. Work hardened, pre-World War II, real anvil,
Nice.
superhuman strength.
Do you want to stop talking for a sec? Look at that. It opened the crack up bigger.
That is no chip even. That's not an explosive shattering. I would have thought this would have done it.
Time to down tools, people. This myth has gone under the hammer.
I feel like we really busted this one the first time, and I think that still stands.
I totally agree. Hammerheads will not explode if you hit them against each other or on an anvil, whether the anvil's real or not.
Yeah, and we've never denied that the chips can fly off the hammer, and those chips can be extremely dangerous and potentially lethal, as we've heard in some cases. But as far as an explosive shattering, it's just not going to happen.
Adam and Jamie have blown the whistle on the mad trombonist myth. Now they're orchestrating what they hope will be a fitting finale.
One last thing we could do to put this to bed once and for all, and that would be to take our second backup trombone and solder or weld the mouthpiece so that no air can escape from it.
Our mustachioed maestro takes their one remaining mouthpiece and with all the delicate skill of a good drummer, bashes a bolt of metal into it.
What I've done is plug this up physically, and we're going to actually solder it into the end of the trombone, so there's no other way for the gas to escape other than through the slide.
Then Adam takes over with solder and flame.
I put a bolt in there and it's solid solder. And it's soldered right into the body of the trombone. This mouthpiece and this trombone never shall be rent asunder again.
The trombone is now sealed shut. Will that be enough to give the fans the result they're looking for?
Good to go.
Adam's mug is looking smug.
I do think it is part of due diligence to put this thing to bed, but I don't think it's going to do anything. It's not going to send this slide out towards Buster. Just no way.
Bold as brass, isn't he? All right, let's see what happens.
This is Mad Trombonist, final test, final revisit, welded shut mouthpiece in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, the trombonist's down and Buster hasn't budged. But hang on a cotton-picking minute.
The slide came off our trombone.
Where'd it go?
Jamie, it's up there, dude.
That's right, a full 70 feet away on the side of a hill.
Only on MythBusters.
Well, there's a lot of people cheering at their television sets right about now. I was all arrogant and saying, no, it's not gonna work. This is just stupid. I can't believe we're doing this.
That's right, he did say that.
It's not gonna send this slide out towards Buster. Just no way.
The slide took off like a Stinger missile, somehow missing our conductor altogether, but probably knocking out the doorman.
Well, that's it. It definitely did leave during the explosion. Go right past Buster.
You know, it's weird having a job where you really like being wrong.
That's true.
But, I mean, that's just awesome.
But despite that spectacular result, the guys aren't about to change their tune.
This doesn't change the status of the myth. We've already shown that a person whose lips are basically tied to the mouthpiece didn't put enough back pressure to cause the same result. So only if you had a metal person whose metal lips were welded to the mouthpiece would you have had the same result. It's still busted.
But it goes to show the fans are right to make overtures if they think the MythBusters are off-key.
Based on what I've seen, the complaint the fans had about our diligence the first time we did this test seems to be correct.
Well, I still gotta say the myth is busted.
Oh, no doubt. I still put this easily in the busted category, but I am very pleased to see that the fans' concept and theory about the reason this slide could have left is actually correct.
Yeah, well, we're done.
All right.